Hello everyone and welcome back. Alex here, and today I like to present to you EVE Online. Now if there's any game that I have played that has more hours than Guild Wars, it's this one. EVE Online I have plowed more hours into than I can even begin to imagine. To the point that for probably 2 or 3 years, there was times I was playing EVE Online exclusively, almost to the exclusion of any other game, because this was so immersive and so in depth with what I was doing and with the organizations that I was with, that whatever free time I had to play games was consumed by EVE Online. EVE Online is now 15 years old. It has just celebrated its 15th year anniversary, and that is amazing for an MMORPG. Originally released in 2013, this is a game that has truly evolved as time has went on. Sometimes it stumbled, sometimes it knocked it out of the park. You know, not all expansions were popular or viewed as moving the bar forward, I should say, with this game. Some were seen as, in fact, even taking a step back. But overall, though, the development process of EVE Online has matured to the point that there's now a steady cadence of upgrades. Now, there's a lot of discussion about what those upgrades or new features or how to keep the game fresh should be. You know, one of the big stumbles was the Errata patch, where they introduced walking stations, and CCP really kind of botched it in its implementation. I think some of the ways that they botched it in that wasn't so much that they introduced the feature of having an avatar that you can walk. It was that the feature was completely undeveloped in the concept of the game, and also it was really forced into the player base when it was first released. When Errata was first released, the game defaulted to your captain's quarters, where you have this avatar and you can purchase clothes and things like that. But that is where you started the game, and most pilots would, on their day-to-day business or day-to-day how they play the game, would use this view, as you see here, the hangar view, where they have their ship, they have all their icons here. It's much faster and much more convenient to do your normal tasks than it is walking around and hitting specific buttons. I mean, it was a neat feature. It really kind of showed where EVE wanted to go when Errata was released. I believe it was 2009, I believe, is when Errata came out. And that's a guess. I haven't gone and checked, but there was a huge outrage among the player base, to the point they had their summer of rage and online protests that got into the news, and CCP, had to, do some adjustments. And frankly, for me, the only adjustment needed was to be able to default to the hangar view. Just say, hey, I don't want to go in the captain's quarters when I first start up the game. Just take me to the hangar view, and if I want to go into the captain's quarters, there was a button up here where I could click the button, go to the captain's quarters, and just hang out in there. And oftentimes I did. I liked seeing an avatar. I liked seeing a character, my representation of, frankly, myself in the game, walking around and doing things. But I wanted to choose when that was the case, not have CCP choose and have it forced upon me or any other player. So, that was one of the big protests with the Errata expansion. Now, one of the most successful ones to take it on the other side was the Apocrypha expansion, and that was very well received and very successful. Released a little bit earlier, the Apocrypha expansion introduced the concept of wormholes and unexplored space, and being able to go into a wormhole, show up on the other side of the galaxy or even the universe, have a completely unknown system. There was no local chat like you see here. You don't know who's in the system. They don't know if you're in the system. Completely new kind of game mechanics coming in, where you didn't have all these kind of crutches like you have in known space. and it was amazing. It was a blast and highly well received. They've since then increased the size of wormhole space. There are whole corporations and even alliances that operate strictly in wormhole space and just come back to known space to do their commerce, resupply, do some specific tasks that are specific to known space, and then go right back out to wormhole space and just hang out there. And it has developed a whole new set or subset of players in EVE Online that are called wormholers. They just live in wormhole space, and that was the most successful expansion they had. EVE Online now is, as I mentioned, 15 years old, and it is a very mature product. But where does EVE Online go at this point? Right now, for the last 2 years, including today, there has been a long ongoing effort to replace player-owned stations and player-owned star bases that were first introduced right or soon after EVE Online was launched. So now every station that was built out in 0.0 is indestructible. They can be captured, but they can't be destroyed. And frankly, they have sprouted up like weeds. It used to be a huge event when an alliance would deploy a space station. It required enormous resources, tons of manpower, and it was truly a great achievement, worthy of being on the EVE news and things like that. Not too long later, there were some going up every day, and they were just sprouted all over the place, and they became ghost towns. They became dormant. No one really could take advantage of them. There was an initiative in the Providence region to have a star base in every star system, and it just became completely wild. And you could have a star base anywhere because they didn't require any fueling, they didn't require any maintenance, they couldn't be destroyed, they couldn't be removed. So that has now all changed, and in June next month, CCP is going to make them destroyable. They're going to be transmogrified, I should say, to a destructible faction citadel. And so that's going to be a huge event, and I think that is really going to kind of make EVE Online kind of go back more to when space stations and star outposts were more rare, or were more sought after, or were more of a big deal, because frankly a lot of them are going to be cleaned out as wars go on, and also that they may require resources and fuel. So that is one aspect I think is very good for EVE Online in order to continue its maturing development. But again, the operative word here is maturing. There's really no new huge features like we saw in Apocrypha or even in Karna. Nothing like we saw in the Empyrean Age when faction warfare came out. Or even in, I'm trying to think, the one that brought in planetary interaction. Terrania, I think. I forgot the name of that expansion, but that brought in the use of planets and things like that. Where do we go from here? And unfortunately, CCP has removed walking in stations. That concept has been completely thrown out into the garbage. Hopefully not permanently, but definitely for the foreseeable future. Definitely. So that is one aspect I think CCP can definitely develop and needs to redevelop, because walking in stations didn't come out of a vacuum. Walking in stations came from the fact that the vast majority of the player base in EVE Online is male, and typically female, women, girl gamers, they more identify with avatars that they can see. And here in EVE Online, we see a ship, but we can't really identify with the ship. And all we have right now is back to where we were. We just have this little picture and a portrait, and that's it. There's no way to customize it. There's no way to see your character. There's no way to see your avatar. And this was a feature that was just really dropped by CCP, as I had pointed out before. So I'm in Jita now. This is where the main hub is, main commerce hub. So EVE Online, it's definitely been a game that's been around for a long time. Now I'm going to switch topic here real quick and talk about how EVE Online is just really different than any other game, and why it's a hard game to get into, and it's a hard game to really explain, and even kind of defies the notion of being a game in the first place, as we traditionally know what a game is. CCP has made EVE Online into a truly an unprecedented sandbox on an MMORPG level. I have not seen to this extent a game as much as a sandbox as EVE Online. The great thing about EVE Online, which is also kind of its great drawback for a lot of players, is that there are no set characters. There are no set jobs. It's not like going into your typical MMORPG such as World of Warcraft or Guild Wars or anything else, and you pick a class, you pick a job. Oh, okay, I'm going to be a warrior, I'm going to be a mage, or whatever. Here, all you get is a character and some skills, and that's it. Now, when EVE Online was first introduced, there was kind of a little bit of steering in your initial skills. If you wanted to be a military mercenary fighter, you would go through the character creation process. Okay, you went to this academy, you went and you used to be a mercenary, and now you have some of these starting skills, and here you go. But now EVE Online, when you join the game, you don't get any of that. It's just, here's some basic skills, here's where you go pick up skills, go be what you want to be. And that just lets a lot of players, when they come into the game, just adrift. It's like, well, I don't know what I want to be. I haven't been a miner, I haven't been a mercenary, I haven't been a combat pilot, I haven't been a logistician, I haven't been any of these things. I haven't been an explorer. And so CCP has really developed the new player system to really kind of give some introduction there on these little bits and pieces of content to allow new players to try them out, and they have relatively succeeded. I played through the new player introduction, I think it was a few months ago, and definitely a lot more in depth, a lot more hand holding, letting you figure out the controls, letting you try different things, and then letting you go with at least a little bit of a foundation, rather than just dropping into the pool as I was when I started this game back in 2003, and it's like, okay, go figure it out. And then you go online, you read a lot of forums, a lot of posts, or check out YouTube nowadays and try and figure out what to do. The beauty of EVE Online is you can be anything you want to be. If you look at my character sheet here, I have skills all over the place. They're not in any one particular field, although this one's more of a combat pilot, but there's also skills in trade, there's some skills in production, there's even some skills in mining and harvesting, there's social skills for dealing with NPCs, things like that. But you can see, like, over on this quadrant, most of the skills are in ship functions and combat functions such as gunnery, missiles, drones, navigation, starship command, targeting, shields, electronic systems, etc, 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 etc. And of course, this character was born right after the game was released on May 7th, 2003. This is almost a practical launch character, and this is why I've always kept Alexandra, and also kind of where I use the name Alex came from. It's actually because of her. So this is really a character that can ebb and flow and change and learn different things as time goes on and adapt to the situation. While in any other RPG, whatever job you're in, you're stuck in. Oh, you're a mage and now you need to be a warrior? Well, tough. You're a mage, that's how you created that character, stuck, go re-roll a character, come back when you're fully equipped and have all your skills. No, that's not the case here. You can take a character, buy the skill books. It takes time. You can't ramp up these skills. They only go so fast unless you use some implants, and that only decreases the time a bit. But eventually, you put the skill books in, you will be a top class combat pilot, or a top class miner, or a top class explorer. The big drawback in EVE Online, though, is that it's such a sandbox that it's almost nothing else. There is no story arc. And any notion of this being a game in the sense of what we're familiar with any other game gets thrown out the window. So for example, in combat, there's nothing like you would see in more traditional video games such as World of Tanks, World of Warships, where there's an even number of opponents of relatively even power or capability on both sides of the field, you know, such as 15 tanks in World of Tanks, or 12 ships in World of Warships, or 8v8 in Guild Wars, in the original Guild Wars, or 5v5 like you would see in League of Legends or Dota 2. There's nothing fair here. If one side brings 5 ships, the other side can bring 10. Okay, well, the other side brings 10, okay, we can bring 20, and on it goes and up. And there's nothing to stop someone from escalating. Okay, let's bring a battleship. Okay, well, now let's bring a dreadnought. Okay, well, let's now bring a carrier, and then next thing you know, there's a super carrier, and then there's a titan, and then, you know, it goes on and on and up. So it really does tie your hands in what you can accomplish by yourself. And to me, now, having become older and having more responsibilities in life, I can't dump tons of hours into a group or an organization. I'm sorry. You know, I was just in a corporation recently, and they had these requirements of, okay, how much you need to be piloting and how many times you need to be on the kill board, and we're out here and 0%, you gotta fly this doctrine, and etc, etc, etc. And I just couldn't keep up with it. I had too many things going on in my real life. I still have things going on in my real life. I was traveling a lot for work, and I even told them that didn't matter. You know, it's like, nope, you're supposed to be here. It's like, well, look, you're a game. EVE Online is a game, and yet you're putting responsibilities upon me to the level of like I would see from my work or from my family. Actually, more of my work. You know, EVE Online can easily become a job in and of itself. And so, you know, I'm going to just fire up the market here. Yeah, you may want to, you know, fly frigates, you know, such as like this one here, like the Harpy. Nice, tiny, good little gunship frigate, very capable, lots of fun. But nope, you gotta fly something else. You gotta fly, let's say, a cruiser. Now, cruiser are also very fun, but now you gotta pay for a strategic cruiser like a Tengu. And Tengu was a very tier 3 type of cruiser. I'm sorry, tech 3 cruiser, not tier. Tiers are gone. Tech 3 cruiser that just could easily bankrupt you. And this ship went boom. It went boom. There was nothing to say that when you got back in the hangar, this ship would magically reappear again. Nope. Again, one of the great strengths of EVE Online is that when something goes kaboom, it's gone. It's kaboom, and that's it. And that really gives a certain weight to EVE Online that's not in anything else. But again, back to my original point though, and that is, in order to accomplish anything of real significance, you cannot do it alone. You have to do it in a group. And that's great. I like that initial concept. The problem you run into is the groups you could be in dealing with could easily put the social and time and pressure and responsibility and pressure on you that you don't even look at EVE Online as a game anymore. Now it becomes like a responsibility. It's like you have to log in, you have to be doing this, you have to, you know, check your refining reactions when we had them, they've been removed now, or you have to check your citadel, or you have to do planetary interaction, you have to gather your materials, and suddenly it stops becoming fun anymore, and now it just becomes this drag, this responsibility, and you don't want to do it anymore, you let it go, and you go do something else. And I have run into that time and time and time and time again. So EVE Online is a game that it's just so easy that it can easily become not fun. it can easily become a huge drag, but can also easily become so much more if you get into the right group and you develop a real camaraderie of, you know, some great friends in my life I've made in this game. And unfortunately, a lot of them I've lost contact with, and the only contact I had with them was through EVE Online or through forums. And you know, real life happens, and you know, some had they got married, and boom, that was it. That was the end of EVE Online. Never saw them again. But just so many great people, you know, I've met in this game, and truly top of the line. And there's a lot of professionals that play this game. You know, people with MBAs and software degrees and engineering degrees. Actually, I myself have 2 engineering degrees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just an incredible group of people, you know, play this game. And you know, we've had tragedy, we've had heartbreak, we've actually had, you know, we've mourned real players that, you know, have tragically passed away in this game. But it's really hard to call this a game when you have that kind of level of responsibility and pressure in a group and organization to accomplish anything in this game. And so this is not a solo friendly game. CCP is trying to make it that way. I think the new release of the Triglovian type of expansion, where you go into these subspace pockets and now you have this different enemy that you have to fight and things like that, you know, that is more catered towards a solo or PvE type of character. But if you truly want to get the most out of EVE Online, you really do need to do it with a corporation. But it's so easy to go past that line where EVE stops being fun and starts to become way too much of a job, of a responsibility, of a requirement, that it can even start to interfere with your real life. It can start to interfere with your work situation or your family situation, and you don't want that. You know, family comes first. You know, work keeps the bills paid, so maybe that probably comes in second. But EVE Online, though, if you have the right group and you keep yourself into a narrow slice, you don't try to do everything. I was in an alliance called ISS, and one of our logistics guys, I was put in charge of the logistics for the ISS Navy. And we had one guy running the logistics, a great guy named called SJ, and he was just the nicest guy, but he was the type of guy that took everything on and put it on his shoulders. You know, all the fueling for all the process, all getting the stuff out there. And you know, a lot of people didn't want to do that. They'd rather go out and do pew pew or crunch shiny rocks or God knows what else. But they didn't, you know, help with really kind of logistics of moving material and replacement parts and ships out into the middle of nowhere in 0.0 when there were not a lot of stations around. And you know, the poor guy was getting burned out. He was playing EVE Online almost more than he was doing his real job. And I remember I came into the role of the ISS logistics manager. I think because no one else wanted it. And I said, okay, you know what? I recruited 2 or 3 other people. I said, hey, anyone who wants to help with logistics, come on board. And we actually had 2 or 3 people, and I split up the roles. I split up the responsibility. I said, SJ, you've done great, but I just want you to do this to this. I just want you to take the battleships that we manufacture in HiSec and move it to this drop-off point with your freighter. That's it. I don't want you to do anything else. Everything else is going to be someone else's responsibility. Okay, how do we move them from HiSec to nullsec? That's going to be me. Okay, how do we outfit them? It's going to be this person. Okay, how do we do manufacturing of modules and insurance? It's going to be this person. All right, not everything is going to be on you, SJ. It's going to be on this person, this person, this person. And at that point, SJ was like, holy cow, now I got time to play the game. Actually, like, he almost didn't know what to do. It's like, oh, okay, I can actually do pew pew. I can actually go on fleet ops. I can actually, you know, make some money for myself. It's like, yeah, you know, don't take everything on yourself. And that is where you can easily go too far in EVE Online, when you try to do way too much on one character and really for one person. It is a game that is made to scale with groups, and therein lies the two traps that I mentioned. One is that you try to take on too much that that you may not be capable of. For example, deploying a big citadel and you're a one-man corporation. There's no way to defend it, and next thing it goes boom, and you're back to where, to square one. The second part is when you're in an organization, and either everything gets put on your shoulders, or the requirements of the organization goes far beyond what you're capable of putting into a game, and the game doesn't even be fun anymore. It's not even enjoyable. It becomes a responsibility. It becomes a task. It becomes like, oh yeah, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, 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 where it's a set of chores that you do like every day. And EVE Online just starts to morph into something that it's not and wasn't intended to be. So enjoy EVE Online. If you come into EVE Online, enjoy it. Do the expansions of wonder. Try different things. If you're going to combat, I highly recommend you try out Faction Warfare first. It was a great route to me when they got things kind of fixed and settled out, and they brought in all the subspace complexes, where it is actually now a little bit more even, because it only allows certain ship classes to go into these complexes. If you have a complex that's meant for frigates, you can't bring a battleship in. Things like that. It is one of the more the artificial mechanics that actually kind of make it a game and make it a little more fair, although that's in quotes for EVE. Nothing in EVE is fair, but it's definitely a first step for anyone that's going to go into the combat route, and it's a lot better now than it was before. Or exploration. Exploration is actually one of the better solo-centric type professions out there, where you really can do it on your own and have a lot of fun doing it. So when you decide to come into EVE Online, try out different things, but it does help to specialize. Okay, I like doing this. I like mining, or I like combat, or I like exploration, or I like technology, and focus on that and try and grow your character and development in that direction. And say, okay, this is who my character is in this game. And then when the time comes to say, okay, I'm going to switch to something else, just realize you don't have to do everything. You can be good at one thing, and you should be valued for being able to do that one thing. If you're in a group or organization that says, oh, you're a miner and we need someone to go out and find pew pew, it's like, well, then you need to find a pew pew character. You need to find a pew pew player. I'm a miner, I help with this. Okay, this is why you brought me on. This is what I'm going to do. Okay. That's just some of the things that you're going to encounter in EVE Online, and frankly that's the case in any other MMORPG, but that is definitely the case in EVE Online. It is a fantastic and special game. There is no other game like it, and I think I may actually do some more videos for EVE Online, but I just wanted to make this video for EVE Online and wish it and congratulate it. Definitely a 15-year of anniversary, a huge and tremendous milestone of constant development. I mean, the game looks beautiful. It is absolutely modern now, where most MMORPGs today that are 15 years old doesn't even look near this good. Even the original Guild Wars, which I like a lot, its graphics have aged. In fact, they just did an update yesterday, or no, 2 days ago, where they actually added an advanced option, which makes it a little bit nicer, but it's not going to have the same graphic overhauls that you're going to see in EVE Online. Even World of Warcraft is having a hard time catching up. So definitely a very, very special game. It is a game where you can easily get lost. You can easily bite more than you can chew. It's in a game where you can have a lot of pressure and responsibility placed on you that seems excessive, especially for a video game. But if you do it right, if you know what to watch out for, and you know who you are in the game, and you know how you want to play the game, and you make the right the right relationships, it is a game that can give you something far greater than any other game, Guild Wars included, can give you. And that is one of the things that I truly love about EVE Online. But a lot of those potholes I just had to learn along the way. And so hopefully I can, give this the time that this game deserves. If not, that's okay. It's always going to be here. And I'll always have my character here. And there's always going to be something to do here, because this is such a massive sandbox. It may even just be one tiny little thing. I may just be a hauler. Just move some goods around, which I had done before, and actually I kind of liked it, and that was its own profession, which I didn't know a whole lot about. I had to learn a lot about, and I was like, holy cow, there was a lot I didn't know here. I thought I was just moving goods from point A to point B. No, there was a lot to learn. And that gave me something new and fresh. So anyways, I'm going to end it here. Sorry for going a bit long, but there is so much in this game. It is easy to go a bit long here. And if you guys like this, please let me know. Subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, if you want to see more EVE Online, I'm going to do more EVE Online. I have this game. It is probably the one of 3 games I know a lot about. The other one being Guild Wars, although I think the speedrunners would argue with that. Another one would be Dota 2, although I haven't played that in quite a while, and that has changed a lot. So I would have to get up to date on that. But definitely have spent many, many hours in this wonderful and deep and unique game. Anyways, thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you soon, and have fun.